will call this regularly scheduled meeting of March 26th to order. If you will join in the salute to our nation's flag. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Good evening. Call to order, and now we need roll call and declaration of conflicts of interest.
Councilmember Abram.
Here and none.
Councilmember Vixel.
Here and none.
Vice Mayor Franco.
Here, and conflict on item 10A. I own a property within 500 feet of the proposed project.
Thank you. Mayor Bublak.
Here and none. All right. Approval of agenda as posted or amended. Are there any amendments? No. If not, motion.
So moved.
Second.
You have a motion and a second. Will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Abram.
Yes.
Councilmember Vixel.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Franco.
Yes.
Mayor Bublak.
Yes, passes 4-0. All right, proclamations. We're going to start with adopting pets. Let's do it. Drum roll. You got it. Uh-oh. Heavy breather.
Good evening. I'm Supervisor Walthrop with Turlock Animal Services, and tonight with me I have Blue. He is a 2-year-old American Staffordshire mix. He's been with the shelter probably about a month and a half now. He's a really good boy. He's a talker, a little excitable, but he is food motivated, so we would love to find him a forever home. I just want to touch really quick on our doggy day out as well. He is a dog that can be checked out. So, we've had about 20 people so far come in, check out dogs. One ended up with an adoption, which was fantastic. A lot of interest. So we're hoping that with the dog day out program that we'll continue to see adoptions.
Come on, Blue.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, let's adopt Blue. Let's do it. All right, Director Fisher, you're up.
Good evening, Council. Here today to talk to you a little bit about our energy audit.
Can you pull it just a little bit closer to you? Thank you.
Our energy audit with our energy partners, Willdan Energy. I'm going to invite them up here today. Want to come on up? This is Jason Boyd, and he's going to introduce the rest of his team, and we'll talk a little bit about what we've looked at, what we've discovered, and the next steps on the energy audit program.
I get to drive the slides too.
Yeah.
How's the audio?
Good, thank you.
All
You're a
right.
little closer to the mic, thank you.
Yeah,
You're taller.
it's a nice way of putting it. I'm closer to the mic. I like that. Good evening, and thank you for having us here today. We're really excited to be sharing this update on your energy program. I'm Jason Boyd, Energy Program Manager with Willdan. I'm joined by Carolyn Kiesner. She's our Senior Director of Energy Programs. Murray Greenwood, he's our National Director of Biogas Solutions. And Trevor Hogan, our Regional Construction Manager. And he also happens to be a longtime resident of Turlock. Let's see. Next slide, please. So here's our agenda for the day. We're going to cover the city's goals for this program, our progress to date, a little overview of the process, our initial findings through this program, and those solutions that staff has decided would be most beneficial that they want to pursue further. And I've been advised to try and keep this brief. I'm going to aim for about 10 minutes here, so hopefully hit things at the right level, but we will also be available for questions at the end. Oh, thank you. So for this program, it's kind of guiding principles. Staff has given us 4 main objectives that they want to be hitting. They want to be creating efficiencies to reduce utility costs and maintenance costs. They want to improve system performance and reliability. There is some deferred maintenance and capital improvement needs that they want to accomplish. And they also want to be maximizing savings for the city, capturing incentives, and capturing other creative funding opportunities to help drive down the overall capital costs for this program. And quick overview of the efforts to date so far. You know, we were selected as the city's energy partner last spring and kicked off this process last summer. We've since done citywide site investigations, staff interviews, utility bill analysis, a bunch of work really to develop an initial list of potential scopes for the city to consider. And staff has now evaluated those options and made their selections on what kind of scopes they want to focus on for further development. So as a little refresher on the overall process, we've now completed phase 1 of the investment grade audit. That's been this broad investigation across the city, providing initial analysis so that staff can make informed decisions on what kind of scopes would be most beneficial for the city. We're now getting ready to move into phase 2 of the investment grade audit, which is really a deep dive into solution development, ultimately providing detailed scopes as well as cost guarantees and performance guarantees for the city to consider. And then if the city decides to proceed with a project, then Willdan, the next phase would be turnkey construction and implementation provided by Willdan, as well as following that, staff training, measurement and verification, and other ongoing support to really ensure the long-term success of your program. So, next we'll give a brief overview of the scopes that we've identified and staff has selected for further investigation. First being LED lighting. So the city has a wide variety of older and inefficient lighting technologies across its facilities. These would all be upgraded to LEDs. Benefits would include utility savings, operations and maintenance savings, as well as improved lighting quality. There are also several HVAC systems that are at or beyond the end of their useful expected life. These would be upgraded to new, more efficient systems, which would reduce your utility costs, reduce your maintenance costs, as well as improve comfort in the facilities. And in some cases where the cost benefit makes sense, we would also be converting natural gas units to electric heat pump technology to take advantage of your favorable TID rates and also reduce the carbon footprint for the city. There are also a few city sites that have roofing that is in need of repair or replacement. This would improve health and safety in those facilities, improve comfort in those facilities, and also importantly, help protect the critical equipment that is within those facilities. There is also good opportunity for solar power generation at your wastewater treatment plant. This would be to offset electricity usage and reduce your utility costs there. Now, we are initially recommending a 1.7 megawatt system. This would be just under the size that would trigger additional requirements from TID. Now, given the usage at the plant, it could justify a system that's much larger, perhaps 6 or 7 times larger. But staff has decided it would be best to start with this size system as a first phase and then have time to evaluate a potential larger system or perhaps battery storage in the future as well. So this next project is really exciting due to some of the significant benefits that it could provide for the city. So we think it merits a little extra time and detail. Currently, the wastewater treatment plant treatment process creates biogas, which is mostly methane gas. And this biogas is being treated as a waste stream right now. It's being flared or burned to dispose of it. And right now, so this is being treated as a waste stream for the city, and it's also, frankly, a potential regulatory risk in the future. This project would convert what is currently a biogas waste stream into a valuable product and a revenue stream for the city. So the Willdan team, along with staff, we've explored several different solution options here, and determined that the best path for the city would be to refine the biogas into renewable natural gas and inject it into the PG&E pipeline. There's three main reasons that this was selected as the best option. First is that it uses tried and true technologies, which really provide a low project risk for the city. Next is that it uses established markets for the revenue, which also keeps the project risk low. And then lastly, it can also capture some pretty large incentives that are available right now, and it generates really strong annual new revenues for the city. And there'll be more on this in just a minute. So on this slide, trying to not to go into too much detail here, but the biogas refinement process it's a multi-stage process that removes contaminants and transforms the gas into pipeline quality natural gas that's meeting really strict standards. And again, each one of these stages uses well-tested and well-proven technologies. And what we have here is a sample layout of the proposed system and its various stages, and this would be sited at the wastewater treatment plant in a location that wouldn't impede any of the normal operations. So here's why this is particularly exciting. Our initial analysis, and we do try to keep this conservative, shows that this project could generate an estimated $2.7 million in new revenue for the city. That's over $88 million in new revenue for the city over the project's lifespan. Now, the revenue comes from three main sources, the first being the commodity gas itself, which is put into the pipeline, and the next two being two different credits that are available based on the natural gas being renewable and meeting low carbon fuel standards. Now, these credits are both, as I mentioned, run through well-established markets that have very stable pricing. One is run by the state of California, the other is run by the federal EPA. And all three of these revenue streams can stack on top of each other. And on top of that, the timing is really good for this project for the city because we believe the project could be eligible for over $6 million in federal incentives as well. So next, I want to give you a brief overview of all the scopes that were initially identified through this program, and then take a look at what scopes your staff has selected to focus on for this next stage of development. And on this slide, yeah, there we go. So here's an overview of all the scopes that were initially identified, and we also put together preliminary estimates on those costs and savings that would be captured by these projects. Not going to read through it all, but do just want to point the direction down to that bottom line, which shows we identified roughly $78 million in total projects that the city could pursue, and that would address many of your CIP and operational needs, as well as capturing over $12 million in federal incentives and generating over $4 million in savings and new revenue for the city. Now, the total scope, when you add that all up, has a simple payback of about 16 years, which is pretty good when you consider most of these measures have lifespans of 20 to 30 years. Now, after reviewing all the potential scopes that we put together, staff has decided to narrow the current focus for this program to those scopes that are meeting the most critical needs, as well as delivering the most savings. So those scopes include LED lighting at the city facilities and parks, roofing at the City Hall and Muni Services building, and at the wastewater treatment plant buildings, HVAC units at Muni Services and the wastewater plant, the solar at the wastewater plant, and the biogas project. And this total project would have a budget of roughly $25.5 million and would capture about $7.5 million in incentives and also deliver roughly $3 million in annual savings and new revenue. And that comes together for a simple payback of about 7 years, which is really strong, again, considering lifespans of 20 to 30 years on these measures. So with all these selected scopes, the benefits of this program would be addressing some critical facility needs, as well as capturing some other opportunities and ultimately delivering over $100 million in savings and new revenue for the city over the life of the program. So now that we've completed our initial analysis and staff has had opportunity to evaluate and make their selections on what kind of scopes they want to pursue, the next steps here will be to fully develop those solutions, refine those scopes, refine the costs and savings, and come back to present final scope with guaranteed costs and performance guarantees as well for council to consider. And we hope to be doing that in the next 4 to 6 months. So with that, hopefully I've done well on my timing. I want to thank you again for your time here today, and also thank you for trusting us as your energy partner. We're really honored to be supporting the city of Turlock, and we're really excited about the opportunities that we're developing here together. So, thank you.
Questions for Mr. Boyd?
I'm curious, you spoke about solar at the water treatment plant. It seems like, things are popping up around with solar over parking structures. Is that something that could be considered in the future, or is that outside of the scope of this?
Yeah, it could definitely be considered in the future. The proposed system that we're looking at is a ground mount system, but we can absolutely look at parking structures as well.
Are those more costly or economically viable? Or?
Yeah, typically the ground mount's the most cost effective if you have the space for it, which fortunately you do.
With regard to solar, I know, actually I looked into it just in my own house, and being a TID customer, I can't make it pencil out for me. How come it's different for the city?
The biggest difference is economies of scale. It's a much larger system at your treatment plant.
You don't know how big my house is.
That's true.
Maybe he does.
You got me there.
Vice Mayor, you got any questions?
No question.
Okay, I have a couple. Is this a typical timeline? Because I felt like you were telling us, okay, we're here to do something now, and this is like, we're going to tell you we're going to do something in another year or two. So I'm kind of one of those people that likes things getting done. So is there a way to part it into something and let maybe Director Fisher find the most obvious thing to him, whether it's biogas or whatever? I just feel like if you're looking at everything, we could sit here forever, and that doesn't seem like it makes sense. And then I look at Champion; they're keep fixing or allegedly fixing our HVAC, but it's not happening. And so, I'm not an expert, but I would say we need to replace it. So if you guys are going to spend another year to tell us, then that wouldn't be helpful for us. We know that it's on its last legs.
Yeah, I can probably address that question a little bit. So when I came in here and I looked at that, I looked at what they have done. I looked at every single one of the scopes, and I know from experience that, especially in wastewater plants, HVAC is a very challenging thing to maintain and keep running, right? Very, very important. And we're in a state, it's not that, we have a little bit of deferred maintenance, we got to go through it. But I did take the time, and I apologize, to go through every single thing and make sure that these scopes fit within our 5-year, our goals and objectives. And so we did parse it down. And I think from Willdan's standpoint, I think they've gotten good direction now to hit the gas and move forward.
No pun intended.
Exactly, yeah. But yeah, I think we're in a good position where we looked at and we parsed down all of the projects and got rid of the ones, we did some condition monitoring. For instance, our transformers were on there. Well, we took the proactive action to go through and condition monitor all of those and give us a full health report on all our transformers. And we looked at it and said, yeah, it doesn't make sense to move forward at this time, but we have a path forward to move so we can understand the condition goes. But with the other ones, I think they're all parsed down to everything that we need to do. So we prioritize employee health and safety, and maximize the incentives, and we also went after revenue generation or savings.
Does the company have the capacity or bandwidth to do all of those at the same time?
Yes.
Really? So each one of these could be moving forward within the next year? Or if we chose to push one forward and kind of roll it out like dominoes, would that be more efficient where we'd actually start saving money?
Yeah, so, our hope is to have this next phase complete
In a year?
in the next 4 to 6 months. And, hopefully we're all rolling on right after that.
One of the other advantages too is if we choose to move forward, our construction management is actually local. So that helps us, like once we're able to go through and the council's able to present make a decision, we can move forward with it very quickly. We can hit the ground running. But yeah, I think, from Wildan's standpoint, correct me if I'm wrong, we have a fully vested list of priorities and how we want to attack these things.
But at this point, this presentation says we're just gonna continue with all this big chunk of stuff. Is that correct?
No, that's not exactly what we're saying, and I apologize if we
Okay.
put it that way. We decided to pare it down
Sure.
to just the focus projects to maximize the return on investment.
Right.
And that's what we're planning to move forward with. And the goal is to have all of this done and ready for a decision by September.
Mayor, I do have a question.
Okay.
The program cost looks like $25.6 million.
That's correct.
Okay, so we paid $25.6 million up front, and it takes 7 to 16 years to come back to us?
7.8 years.
Where do we propose to come up with the $25.6 million?
Yeah, that's all going to be into the rate study. It's going to be capital. It's going to be PAYGO and then capital funded projects.
Okay, thank you.
All right, let's open it to the public. Anyone wishing to ask a question or make a statement about this? John?
I had two questions. One was, I thought the sewage department already had a fuel cell that used the gas to generate electricity. Maybe they don't do it anymore, but I thought that was one of the unique features of Turlock to do that. The second question is, when it comes to solar, TID buys from a solar farm down in Kern County, and of course we buy from a wind farm up in Oregon. So the question is, did you look into which would be better as far as revenue doing that? Because it doesn't matter whether, as far as I'm concerned, whether it's generated here or generated down there. We don't use that electricity, it just goes on the grid. So is one, if you're going to spend the money, is it better to do, did you compare costs of buying from a solar farm? Thanks.
This is the first question is fuel cell. The fuel cell was a project, it was partnership with TID, and it didn't quite pan out. It was primarily due to the siloxane concentration in the biogas that we generate, right? This solution does take into account the siloxane because it's particularly hard to deal with, especially when you burn it in internal combustion engines and in our case of boilers. Without it, it cannot be quality, or pipeline grade quality. So we've addressed that concern. And as far as the solar farm or the wind farm, it was a difficult decision to move forward with this project because TAD's energy rates are very, very favorable. However, we maximized the incentives, which were able to make it a reasonable payback. So the big thing is as we get more energy dense in our usage, there's going to be a lot of demand for offset, and I think that we're going to see a lot in that future. And this is more like planning into the future.
Anyone else?
Hello, Mayor, Council, staff. Yeah, I just had a couple of questions on the budget also. So it looks like the budget was gonna be 25 million for the city. That's what it's gonna cost. Is that prior to or after the incentives? Because you're talking about, I saw a couple of different places where you're talking about 7.5 million up to 12 million incentives. So is that aside from the, how's that working? Is it 25 million minus the incentives, or is it 25 million after the incentives?
You want to explain that one a little bit?
Yeah, it's, so that'd be the total cost before the incentives.
Before the
And then the
incentives.
incentives are how you help pay down some of those costs, essentially.
And so Turlock would be expected to upfront the 25 and then apply for the incentives, which could take whatever, depending on government. We know how that works.
Yeah.
So, okay, and payback, you were talking about 7 7.8?
7.8 years.
7.8 years. Okay, just wanted to confirm. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, we'll close the public comment. Any last questions or comments?
I guess I just want a little bit more clarification on what to expect in the next steps. So we're going 4 to 6 months, get a complete package of projects and budgets. And is that the best way to do it? To the mayor's point, is there, a prioritization? Can we, obviously you've prioritized the projects, but could we get like a rolling sort of start on some of these things? What say you to that?
I think the best way to address the question is we can do that, but it'll be multiple contracts, and I think that's, then we would lose out on some of the savings from the design build process. But I mean, it's certainly an option, and we can evaluate that to see if something makes sense to move forward. Because I know there's significant incentives. There are timelines on some of these incentives too. And then we need to be sure that we're going to address that. But I think the big piece for Wilden is they're going to provide us with a guarantee of a payback. So they need to do their due diligence, and I don't want to. If we decide that we want to move something forward, then we will potentially be delaying the other ones, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and can I add in?
Yeah.
Also, as we're getting deeper into the solution development, we can absolutely work out to, implement things in phases. If there's certain scopes that the city wants to, fast track, that is a shorter development timeline that makes sense to deploy sooner, we can absolutely look at that as well.
I think it makes sense to move quickly with what will generate the revenue the soonest. I mean, it sounds like the biogas plant is something that needs to get online sooner than later. And I mean, I don't know how you have that lined out, but.
Yeah, we're very excited about that.
For Director Moreno, do we have the capital to do every single thing here? It was a rhetorical question, but go ahead.
Great question. So I think Vice Mayor Franco had hit it right at the head. The way we're structuring this deal. Transaction.
Whoa, hi.
Now it works. The way the transaction's actually getting structured and the contract is about to come to you, we're doing a rate study right now, right? These projects are being allocated into those rate studies. So traditionally what you do is you just issue debt and do the whole project and you run with it. It's actually going to line up perfectly with what they just referred to, Director Fisher, is you're going to have some pay-go. You're not having to finance the whole structure. It's actually part of your capital plan going forward into that 5-year rate case. So it's actually financially going to structure out perfectly.
For everything.
For everything. Yeah, we're going to phase it. It's going to go stages, right? You're not going to just do the whole scope in 1 year, but there is a plan that they're developing
We're
on how it
transcribing
all
this.
needs to structure. So again, fiscally, it makes sense, right? You're generating savings. You have return on useful life, but also put it into your rate study that can help you fund the project too as well. So you're not doing all financing overall.
And with the, let's just go negative for a second. If something happened in an election, these incentives might go all the way to the ground, and then what happens? Then we've sat here and we've spent this money and this time, so sometimes it seems more logical to try and get something now, so that at least we start a cost savings, and then we can kind of roll it out. Solar, to me, seems like it's not gonna happen. Right now, you're not getting any money back on it. They've kind of cut everything out, so let's look at what we're actually going to get some benefit so that we can help our fees and our ratepayers with this stuff is my thought.
It's a very valid point too. I mean, and the result of investment grade audit, we may determine and the council may decide not to do a project. But yeah, we can definitely look forward to moving on the biogas sooner than later.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Chief Hedden?
Madam Mayor, members of the council, I'm happy to be here to present the police department's project list. In looking at the list, there were over 50 projects, and I've narrowed that down to about 6 for the sake of time that I wanted to talk to you about. And a lot of them are items that the council has supported for me, so I'm very appreciative of that. But one of the glowing things that I looked at in this list is I'm very proud of the work of the police department staff put in behind these projects, because as you look at it, you can see a number of them have been checked off in the last 2 years. Others are on target. So we've hit the ground running and put a lot of effort into this, and we will continue that momentum. I'm going to talk about the license plate reader camera system, our interview room project, Fusus, drones, recruitment, and then another project that I just kind of had for my own personal knowledge, which was local agency traffic collision data. Our license plate reader camera systems are up and running. If you remember, this is about $100,000 investment that the council gave me. I promised that it would be successful. We piggybacked as part of resource sharing on the sheriff's department's existing camera system so that they would have access to the information in the Turlock license plate reader cameras, and we'd have access to their scaled system throughout the county, including various contract cities. The program has been running for about 7 months. I have some highlights that I want to talk to you about. I'm going to kind of read to you some examples of how the license plate reader systems have been used here in Turlock. March 5th, 2024, officers were monitoring the license plate reader system looking for a man with felony warrants. They made a vehicle stop and arrested the driver on the warrant. They located an illegal AK-47 with a high-capacity magazine in possession of a known gang member who was also arrested on a number of felony charges. In October of 2023, officers conducted a theft investigation at a local sporting goods store. I'm going to try to take out some of the names of businesses, so forgive me if I stumble here. They identified a suspect involved. A probable cause for arrest was completed, and the vehicle was entered into the license plate reader system. On October 19th, the license plate reader system reported the vehicle was in the area of Lander and Glenwood. Officers responded to that location, and the license plate reader system updated them again. It's pretty quick updating technology that the vehicle was now at Lander and Main Street. Officers responded to that location, and they arrested the suspect in that theft. Another October case, officers were in the area of a local business. They spotted a 2005 Ford F-150 that they recognized as being involved through license plate reader data, as being involved in several larcenies throughout the county. The driver was contacted and arrested on a felony warrant. The vehicle was involved in at least 3 known thefts in the city of Turlock and a theft in the city of Modesto of a high-valued lawnmower in excess of several $1,000s. With the assistance of the license plate reader system, the vehicle was tied to all of these crimes, and multiple suspects were identified in a grand theft scheme. And the last one I'm going to tell you about, I could go on and on. I've got pages of this stuff. Is another October case, October 24th. A silver Jeep SUV was captured on video at a local bank. The suspect of this investigation was captured on video surveillance, installing skimming devices onto the ATM machines at the bank. The vehicle's plate was entered into the license plate reader camera system. On October 31st, the license plate reader system alerted detectives that the SUV was traveling southbound on Gear Road from Monte Vista. Detectives were able to announce that information out onto the radio to the officers in the field that the suspect vehicle was likely headed back towards the Bank of America to complete withdrawals using stolen credit card information. Officers responded to the bank and located the SUV and driver. Detectives were able to tie the SUV and suspect to over 10 skimming device thefts in Turlock. The suspect was also tied to a number of cases around the country. The capture of this suspect would not have been possible without the license plate reader system. And again, these are just a couple quick examples to show you how this technology is being used in Turlock. Our interview room project is completed. This is part of the Axon body-worn camera system, the whole system that we use for evidence.com and storage of evidence. Our interview rooms were completed in June of 2023. That's all 5 rooms with new state-of-the-art cameras. This allows us to upload and store video and share that information easily with the district attorney's office. The capabilities also allow us, rather than detectives or those who need to be in the room all crammed in a small room trying to watch an interview, it can be watched from a desktop computer or other areas of viewing throughout the police department for efficiency. Fusus is we're continuing to work through that process. It's up and running. Fusus is a real-time crime center platform that integrates and enhances partnerships with businesses. Fusus can integrate data sources, pull in public and community data feeds, enable video sources such as artificial intelligence, and integrate automated license plate readers, drones, and aircraft feeds. We're continuing to bring on business partners through Fusus. We have 3 businesses up and running. All of our officers' body-worn camera is viewable from Fusus, from the map, and then there's several layers of panes of information that we're continuing to pump into the system in a real-time information platform. Next up is our CAD system, computer-aided dispatch, so we can see where the calls are, where they're generated, and know what cameras to pull up at those locations, including license plate readers. Anthony was telling me as part of our downtown project that we have 8 to 10 businesses interested. As we were getting that interest, we had to put the brakes on and scale him down a little bit so that Fusus and the software platforms could be uploaded for that integration. The issues that we've run into are some of the businesses have out-of-date camera systems, so we've had to work through that. But Fusus does work with most all camera platforms, especially anything current. Our drone program, this is something that I'm also very proud of. We've scaled this thing out. We've seen tremendous success. We currently have a total of 5 drones in operation. Since 2022, we've had well over, I'm going to say well over because when I put in this number, it was when I initially was going to present the projects list, 106 operations and 56 apprehensions of criminal offenders using this drone technology and keeping our officers safe in the field by giving them a bird's eye view of what's going on below them. And since then, we're in the process of purchasing a council-approved Ford Transit van that'll be used for this team. It will display radio systems, video screens, and assist the officers in the field. Our drone program, as I mentioned, has 5 drones. We have a DJI Maverick Enterprise Advanced. That's a remotely operated aerial vehicle that has video recording and thermal imaging capabilities and a flight endurance of 25 to 30 minutes. We have a DJI Maverick Enterprise Zoom. That is a remotely operated aerial vehicle that has a video recording capabilities, 25 to 30 minutes endurance as well. We have a DJI Mavic Mini. That is a remote operated vehicle with also recording capabilities. Nothing fancy on that one, 20 minutes endurance. That allows the officers to get that thing up in the field and out moving quickly over something. We have a DJI Matrice M30T. That one was donated to us by Harvest Church. It's about a $17,000 drone. It has a 30 to 40 minute flight endurance time. So we've seen quite a few successful operations with our drone platforms. Some situations where these would be used in and are commonly used in are major traffic collisions, the investigations of, search for missing persons, search and rescue missions, crowd control situations, perimeter searches and security, natural disaster management, crime scene investigation and photography, SWAT, tactical, and other public safety life preservation missions. We often talk quite a bit about recruitment and our efforts and what a struggle it is to recruit police officers, dispatchers, et cetera. So the police department's made quite a bit of effort on recruitment. We've held 15 recruitment events in the last 8 to 9 months, starting with our recruitment fair at the police department. That was the video that was playing there for you as you walk through the police department's rotunda. We've been at Delta College for a recruitment event, a 2-day event in June, the 26th and 7th. Delta College for their career fair, CSU Stanislaus for the fall 2023 career and intern fair, THS fall 23 college night, Ripon Police and Menlo Park Police Emergency Vehicle Show and Recruitment Event, CSU Fresno Health, Human, and Public Service Center Intern Fair, Turlock Tamale Festival at the fairgrounds, Fresno Police Academy, Turlock City Job Fair at the New Life Christian Center, CSU Fresno Spring Career Fair, and there's numbers. The list goes on, but those are some of the ones that I wanted to highlight. Also, UC Merced. So we're looking at our partners everywhere and trying to leverage all of those relationships that we can to get the best quality candidates in the door. The last thing I want to talk to you about is traffic collision data. That's one that's kind of personal to me. I've shared some stories. You see online, you see on Facebook, kind of real live what's happening in the city at the moment. And it looks like there's a lot of traffic collisions. And I started looking at this and trying to put to perspective what the numbers look like. There are a lot of traffic collisions. People need to slow down and they need to put their cell phones down because we can do a lot better than we've done in terms of reducing traffic collisions. In a comparison of 11 cities that I had our crime analysts pull together, Turlock is 6th highest in collisions. We're 2nd highest in injury collisions, behind the city of Modesto and 0.5% above Siri. So what that tells us is that the city with the highest populations, the highest number of vehicle traffic, have the highest number of injury collisions, which is what you would expect from the data. In 2021, we had 798 traffic collisions, and we were up that year 13%. 2022, we had an 18%, over 18% reduction, bringing traffic collisions down to 674. And in 2023, we saw a slight increase of less than 0.5% in traffic collisions from the year before, so it was 677 this year. We make a tremendous effort to combat traffic-related offenses and educate drivers. Between our patrol officers and others assigned to traffic-related duty, we make approximately 613 traffic stops per month on average. We recently had the site team, the countywide site team out in Turlock on February 20th between the hours of 7:30 and 11:30 a.m. In that time, they made 120 traffic stops and issued 117 citations. Those citations were 28 for speed, 3 for red light violations, 16 for cellular phone or distracted driving, and 48 for stop sign violations. So again, it's not perfect. My message to the community is we need to slow down. We need to put our cell phones down. But I wanted to put some perspective to what the numbers were because this was driving me nuts. Again, I was telling Councilmember Abram earlier today that just driving my kids to school, I saw 2 people run the stop sign in front of me, and luckily for them, I was in my personal car. But we just need to pay attention. That's all I have. If there's any questions, I'll take them now.
Question for the chief? Okay. Anybody in the public? Specific to his presentation, please. Thank you.
So I'm Mary Jackson, and I'm speaking as a taxpayer and also a concerned parent. The intersection at Christofferson and is it right by Pittman High School? We know we've had a fatality there of a very popular school district basketball coach. But on March 16th, in the morning of the Festival of the Green, we had people driving to go park, and there was another very serious accident. And so my question is, what can be done to that accident? I'm hoping with all of the technology we have and the data that we could actually figure out which accidents are the most dangerous. And I came in late, so I apologize that. And I want to appreciate you sending me the information about San Bruno, but I have to get back to you on that. We've been busy doing other things like cookie sales. But I hope that we can take that data. Something has to be done on Christofferson. I never understood why we have 3 schools or 4 schools actually, a high school, a middle school, and 2 elementary schools on such a busy. I mean, I get the planning part of it, but people don't drive the speed limit. And so my concern is that what can we do, because it's very frustrating that we just had a fatality accident right after Christmas, and then we're going to another school event, and it's a huge school event, and we have yet another serious accident that our superintendent witnessed. So, I mean, those are the kind of things where it's just like, what can we do, and how can we work together to make sure, because as you well know, when you're driving your kids to school, people do not honor the speed limit at all. And so I'm willing to hear whatever ideas you have, because if we really had kids walking to school, I think it'd be even more detrimental to them. So, thanks.
Anyone else? Okay, we'll close the public comment if you'll cover that. And,
Yeah.
I know it's not exactly on there, but
Yeah, no, our engineering department has put quite a bit of work into that, into those intersections that you're mentioning, Ms. Jackson. Christopherson and Mountain View, Christopherson and Kilroy, those intersections were replaced, the 5-section signal head with a 3-section signal head to remove the permissive turning movements on those, to make those intersections safer. They were working last week on Christopherson and Kroll. That's also changed to the same platform, from a 5-head signal to a 3-head signal to remove the permissive turn. And then to be completed today, Bill, correct me if I'm wrong, completed today? Taylor and Gear is scheduled to be completed today, changing the east-west directions from permissive turning movements to split phase movements.
thank you,
And
Chief.
CHP is coming out to help us as well. So we're doing everything that we can with partnerships with our allied agencies. So what we have in terms of our staff, we're adding to that by partnering with agencies like the Highway Patrol to come in and help us do extra enforcement within the city of Turlock. So if you have ideas, I'm open to them, but just know that we're out there trying everything we can to make our roads safer.
Awesome. Thank you.
Mayor, I had a comment.
Oh, sorry.
Yes, Chief Hedden and the engineering department, thank you very much for taking care of those signals on Christopherson. I have noticed that there is a big difference for the people stopping for the correct arrows. Hopefully that will help us avoid some really serious accidents. So thank you, engineering department. Thank you, Chief Hedden and staff.
All right, thank you. Director Sims? We already closed that. Yeah, we'll get it on the public comment, thanks. Director Sims?
Good evening, Mayor, Council, staff, members of the public. I'm Anthony Sims, the Economic Development Director, Communications Officer for the City of Turlock. Tonight, I'll be giving a brief communications update on our project list. I'll be going over a number of these slides, but I'll also be asking my colleague, Mr. Joseph Spengler, our communications specialist, to come up and talk about some social media stuff that's going on here. So we're going to go over a number of projects and updates. We're going to go over the mobile app, website, communications plan, some social media highlights, some events that we covered, and then some other communication initiatives that we're focusing on. So the first project here, City of Turlock mobile app. We're in the final stages of the onboarding process for the city mobile app. In recent weeks, we put out a survey to city staff and members of the community on social media asking for ideas for the mobile app name. After reviewing the results, we've selected My Turlock as the mobile app name. Again, we're in the final stages right now, so you're not able to download it. We're looking at a few different mock-up designs here. Here's some samples here of how it would look, and we're also working on a business directory function as well. So we're targeting mid-April, the latest, for the launch date. So be on the lookout for that. The app, again, it will provide citizens the ability to submit requests. For example, traffic light outages. At first, that'll be the live one. You can still request other requests such as potholes and everything else that's on the website. You're just going to be redirected to the website from the app. So you'll still be able to do everything. Other benefits of the app include mobile-friendly website experience, quick access to city information, city council meeting information, a business directory, and then push notifications so citizens can be up to date live. The next project we'll get into is the City of Turlock website. This is a partnership and collaboration with the IT department and the communications department to upgrade the city website, enhance the user experience and functionality. So the process we're looking at is RFPs are going to go out in 2024-25. We'll review those submissions, select a consultant, and the project would begin close to 2025. Next plan we'll talk about is a communications plan project. So the city has never had a communications plan before. Once completed, the plan will cover a 3 to 5 year period, covering the following areas. It'll identify communication vision and goals, communication tools. It'll provide a SWOT analysis of strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, social media policy review and assessment, a city branding assessment and recommendations, community workshops as well. There'll be interviews going on too, one-on-one with council members, staff, external stakeholders. We'll also be doing online surveys as well, internal and external. Digital asset overview as well, target audiences, community stakeholders and groups, strategies to consider. There'll be some performance measures identified, and then a crisis communication plan as well. And these next few slides, I'm going to invite Mr. Joseph Spangler up here.
Thank you, and good evening, Mayor and Council. A few of the things that we're really excited about to share with you guys and update you on our efforts is, one thing is our social media liaisons meeting. And this is an opportunity we've created within the city for all of our departments to come together once a month with their social media representatives. And these are people these are staff members who are passionate about their programming and making that known and communicating that to the public. And like I said, we meet once a month with the department representatives for the purpose of encouraging and inspiring department social media presence and growth, to further promote Turlock's community, to act as a sort of think tank and idea creation, and for professional development. And some of the things we've seen from these efforts is that as a whole, the city, all of our platforms have sort of elevated. We're more frequently showing up on social media from each department overall. We're utilizing different post types, videos, reels, collaborations, and innovating the way we communicate with the public via social media. Our followers are increasing, our creativity and our innovation is increasing. And for context, the city has a variety of different pages. Each department has a platform that they have the opportunity to communicate through. And if you'd like to view all of those, we have them on curated on a single page on our website, and that's visible there on the screen as well, or you can just visit the website and navigate there. Communications and media in general can encompass a lot of different things, but this evening we're talking specifically about social media and the city's efforts there. Why do we use social media? We use it for the purpose of communicating with the public, to share city and community information, increase our followers, increase our community participation, highlight the city of Turlock as a destination to live, work, shop, and play, and to highlight the city of Turlock projects and events, and to overall utilize this tool to elevate our communication efforts within the city and with our community. For context, some of the platforms that the Economic Development and Communications Department manages specifically is the City of Turlock, for Facebook, the City Hall page, and the City of Turlock Economic Development page. On Instagram, it's the City Hall page with our handle designated there. And on LinkedIn, it's the City of Turlock. So when you go to our website and you see a variety of different pages, these are the ones specifically that I'll be covering with our metrics on the next few slides. And the context of these metrics is that with communication, it's all about figuring out what works and what doesn't work. And these are sort of a bird's eye view of what's working and what isn't working in our communication strategy. And we monitor those at a bird's eye level to show what our overall efforts are doing and what we need to change or what we need to sort of double down on. And so we'll start with Instagram, which is our fastest growing platform. And when you visit us on that platform, this is what our account will look like. You'll see our address, our link there, and our follower count and so forth. And some of the specific metrics, and these are the most commonly measured. You can measure a bunch of different metrics, but we're looking at reach, content interactions, and followers are the primary three. And you can see some large numbers there, but really what I'd pay attention to is the little green percentage symbol next to it, which just notates that we are increasing. And this is a 6-month cumulative view. Over the last 6 months, we've increased our reach by over 2,000%, our content interactions by 100%, and our follower count is growing. And you'll notice there on the on the screen around the February area, you see a major spike, and that's because of a video we produced that did really well, and that really plays into the strategy of consistency. That's the number one thing, is we continue to feature videos and photos and do our best to increase these things, because not everyone will be viral, but if you don't increase and you don't stay consistent, you won't have that opportunity. And so that spike there, which I believe Director Sims will speak to a little bit later on in the PowerPoint, is a video that did very well. And I encourage everyone to follow us on Instagram so you can view that video as well. And again, this is when you hit our account, you'll see our posts right there. We have a couple pinned to the top, and then these are the Reels tab. These are videos specifically, and you'll see some of our top performing ones there as well. Next is Facebook, which it does not naturally grow as quickly as Instagram. But I will note also, you can see here that 0% of this growth is from paid advertising. This is all organic. We're just utilizing the free tools that are there and utilizing them to the best of our ability. So on social media, we have increased by 28.3%. On our reach, our content interactions are up by 77.7%. And our followers are increasing over this 6-month period as well. And when you visit our Facebook, here's a couple of screenshots of what you will see there in the content type. And with that, I will hand the next social media platform back over to Director Sims.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is an important tool for us to use within communications and economic development. It's as well as an attraction tool to recruit new businesses, which create more jobs for the area, and attract more visitors to Turlock that will increase shopping and sales tax as well. So it's a social networking tool for working professionals. It provides us the opportunity to highlight and market the Turlock community to key decision makers in various industries. Right now, we currently have 5,051 followers. In July of 2022, we had about 500 followers, so a little bit less than 2 years, we've increased by 4,500. Our types of followers include LinkedIn members within the region, site selectors from across the U.S., commercial developers from across the U.S., CFOs, decision makers within the industries of manufacturing, agriculture, robotics, automation, tech, sustainable energy, semiconductor, and then C-level contacts from trending franchises and retail organizations. And then you can see here this image in the middle. It'll show some of our competitors. So for example, the Stanislaus County has about 8,400 followers, and we're just behind with 5,000. City of Modesto, I think, has 60. It's a little small, I apologize. City of Modesto has 6,400 followers, so we're climbing each month, always advertising Turlock as a community. And then on the right here, this is some of the content that we show. So for instance, how to get your business on the news, a business workshop that's coming up in April. So again, we highlight a number of businesses and community events on LinkedIn to try and attract people to come to Turlock, such as the 4th of July parade, Christmas parade, local businesses, Pedretti Sports Park upgrades, the Turlock Business Conference, annual Turlock Job Fair, and many business workshops as well. A few other communication initiatives that we are working on and rolling out, community surveys. So as I mentioned earlier, we rolled out a mobile app name survey, and we're going to be releasing more surveys to the community as well. There's also a Coffee with the CM initiative that's been going on, where a city manager would go around to various coffee houses throughout Turlock. We would go and advertise that as well. Council members in their district is a new initiative that we've been working on. In the fourth quarter, we were able to highlight Councilmember Bixel, Shop Downtown video. And then recently, a few weeks ago, we were able to sync up with Councilmember Abram, and we're working on that video that'll be releasing soon of her and her district. And then we'll be reaching out to the other council members as well. A Day in the Life series is another initiative that we're working on. So this might be, a day in the life of the city manager or a maintenance worker or Parks and Rec. So we're working on that, developing that. A business survey. We're going to be launching a business survey to the business community to kind of gauge their interest so they can give us feedback on the business climate here in Turlock. Let us know what they like, what they dislike, areas we can improve. And then we're also working on a monthly communications e-newsletter. So we're developing that process. And a few other communication activities that we do is press releases, Turlock Journal interviews, business highlight videos. We want to highlight the businesses in our area. And some highlights and events that we've covered recently in the past year. We do the business conference, local businesses. When Mr. Spangler was up here earlier, he mentioned about that big spike on Instagram. We did a highlight video for the Costco car wash. There's very few of those, and we have that. That had over 150,000 views in a short amount of time, so that performed really well. But we also showcase downtown businesses, new businesses such as Shaw Groceries. So we have a lot of assets here in Turlock, so we do our best to kind of get around to each district, highlight those businesses, and promote them, give them more exposure. We also cover the business workshops that we offer. We offer about one per month consistently. We get between 15 and 25 attendees each time. The topics will vary. So there's a good following there, so we highlight that. And then we also highlight community events such as the Christmas parade, ribbon cuttings with the chamber, special events, and more. And with that, I'll take any questions if there may be any.
Questions?
Yes, thank you, Director Sims and Joseph, for your presentation. I know that the scope of it sounds like you were probably trying to limit this to social media, but my question is, are you considering leveraging other avenues such as, email, direct marketing? Because social media is a crowded space, and you're fighting an algorithm with everybody's preferences on there. So how can we get the good news of what's going on out to more people?
So with that, we've been looking at Constant Contact to be able to do some email marketing. But for the amount of people and businesses we have in our population, it seems really costly. So we're trying to research other platforms that are out there that can be more reasonable and sustainable for us. With the website initiative, we're also looking at consultants and website programs that can have maybe email marketing and more subscription-based newsletters. So that's something we're looking at. But Constant Contact was a little pricey, so.
Any other questions? Vice Mayor, question? Because I'm talking to her? She's died. All right, we'll open it public. Anybody have a question, comment? Ryan?
When I first came to City Hall, that was one of the things I talked about a lot, is just getting the city on social media. So I'm really glad to see it. You guys have done a fantastic job getting the outreach and really growing as much as you have, and I'm really happy to see it. So thank you for the great work you guys have done, and I love to see more of it.
Anybody else?
Again, Mary Jackson. I sort of want to echo what Councilmember Abrams said. Not everyone, I say these same things at several different government agency venues. Not everyone is on social media. Like, for instance, a lot of voters aren't on social media. And so with newspapers sort of getting smaller and smaller, I think I've encouraged people to do a column in the Journal or a column in the Bee. The Journal obviously is our local paper, and I think they would be more agreeable to do it, I guess is the right word for it. I love the day in the life of the city workers. I think a lot of people have no idea what like the wastewater treatment looks like, the new surface water treatment. I know back when I was on the council, Dan Mann took me around and I learned more about our sewage system and the different centers and what happens, like the people who are in the labs testing. All those things are, and road maintenance, and just the pool once we have our pool back. And so just those kind of things, I think, and if you find someone who's actually really good on camera, it even makes it better. That's really important. I would hope that the council member in the district is finished before July, because I would hate to see any conflict of interest with the election coming up. That makes me a little nervous, Mr. Petrolakis, making sure that we are not giving someone more airtime. I'm a really big believer of, we don't do politics on the dais. We're very fair about our election process. And the one thing that I've been saying for years, we have a wonderful Carnegie Arts Center, and I know they have tried for years to try and get in the city. I know it's probably online, but to sort of be more synergistic and having their classes and their programs there. There's a really good author coming on April 6th. I can't remember his name, but there's just those kind of things. All the classes they offer, it would be really good, like on Parks and Rec, or at least to have a on the front page of our website, the city's website, click on this and you can go to the Carnegie Arts Center and see all the things that they're doing, because they're really offering amazing things. Whether it's there's a third Friday is a free event for families to come and do different art things. There's just, anything we can do to promote people coming here, I think is a really easy job. But remember, there's a lot of people who aren't on social media. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, let's close the public comment. And any last comments? Okay, thank you so much. Director Moreno.
Thank you, Mayor, Council Member. Tonight's presentation and discussion is really about you. It's about the budget process and how we go through it. We've already started to look at the information, do our revenue projections, and get data together. Last week, we had nothing but meetings from the morning to the afternoon, going through every single department that impacts the general fund. But today's about you and having a discussion of what you see as your vision and goal for the next coming budget cycle, right? You are the council members that give us a direction on what's supposed to be in there and how you want to see that overall flow. So the information you give us today will be critical for us to be able to build that budget to make sure we hit those goals and objectives. So I'd really just like to open it up to you, and if you can give me your feedback on what you see what those critical items are for the coming year.
So much. I would suggest I learned right before the meeting started that laptop right there is probably like a Commodore 64. So if we could upgrade that to something more commonly used in this era, that would be super helpful.
Yeah, we can definitely utilize PEG funds to replace that.
Wonderful. Do you have comments? No, go ahead.
Yes, well, to piggyback off of Chief Hedden's presentation, I'm glad he talked about traffic, because that's a huge safety concern in the community, and so if that means more funding for overtime or special events with partnering with different agencies for more enforcement, I would be happy to see that. As it relates to our ARPA funds, which is not specifically general fund, but I would like to have us consider the remaining unobligated and unspent funds be spent on infrastructure projects for public safety, specifically, kind of looking toward the future for the relocation and planning for one of the fire stations, as indicated in the Citygate study. And then finally, I would really like to see the city engage in a process of hiring an asset management firm to assist with our city's investments. We've been really fortunate to have very capable and experienced city treasurers for many, many years. But basically our current system is asking a community volunteer to run for this and manage over $200 million, which is a big responsibility. It has a lot of risk, and it has the potential for affecting revenue. So there are firms that specialize in this. Director Moreno and I have talked about this, and I believe it would be in service of being a good steward of the taxpayer dollars who move forward in that direction.
Are you suggesting to not have a treasurer position?
No, certainly not. I mean, there's a oversight element that's happening there. but having a professional firm who can be kind of held accountable to us and present and utilize the tools that are available, for professional asset management, I think that would behoove our city. We're not a small city anymore, and as our budget has grown, as our assets have grown, our sophistication needs to stay with that. So having this as a tool for our city treasurer, should it be the will of the council to continue the treasurer, I think that would be very helpful.
Vice Mayor?
Yes, I appreciate how we've been doing our budget process over the last couple of years with the staff coming in and letting us know how we're doing each quarter, allowing us to change as we go. I really like that system. I want to see us continue with the public safety focus, making sure that our police and fire departments have everything that they need. And then I want to see us focus really heavily on roads. We hear it time and time again. Everyone wants to have our roads fixed as soon as possible, so I would like to have our focus be on public safety and roads.
Councilman?
Yeah, I will piggyback on that too. What Councilperson Abrams was talking about with regard to relocation or at least making some repairs, I think Chief Hunter, the station on Walnut, I mean, it's embarrassing. And it's not a huge budget dollar thing, but you shouldn't have your foot fall through the floor when you go to the bathroom. And the tile in the anyway, it's a very small thing, but it helps with morale with our troops. So I just, that needs to be looked at sooner than later. I think with regard to public safety, nothing puts the fear of God in your heart when you see red lights behind you or in front of you, So, I mean, target dates of 5 guys on patrol and on Christopherson around schools, the trouble areas, obviously, it doesn't take very long for the word to get out. I mean, they're going to be texting on the phone there, watch out, there's a cop on the corner when you're coming to school. But I think that a big presence in spurts offers a big deterrent. Sometimes even a decoy car that slows people down. It's not a huge amount of an investment, but I think that you get a big bang for your buck for that. Okay, so thank you.
Okay, and then I would say that it's about, for me, public safety, but it's about both recruiting and retaining. We don't want to just train these people and let them go somewhere else for $1 more. So we have to be very cognizant of that. Obviously, roads is incredibly important to our community. And then economic development. If we're not going to be able to have money to pay for these things, we have to plan this out. So we've really got to make sure that economic development is one of the structures of this. Anything else? Okay.
Okay. We'll be visiting you soon and bringing the information. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, before we start the public comment, there is a question card now that will read, please return card to city clerk. Cards will be forwarded to city staff who will respond directly per the contact information provided. Responses will be posted on the City of Turlock website at such and such under question card responses. And the questions should be specific to topics within the subject matter jurisdiction of the City of Turlock. So the cards will be out there in the back, and then will be given to our clerk, and then we'll get them posted once we have an answer if it's something we can answer. And then it will say who asked the question presumably as well, just so everybody knows. With that, I have some cards here for public comment. You have 3 minutes. Brandon. Here you go. Sure.
Good evening, Council. My name is Brandon. Nice to meet all of you. I want to start off by thanking you for sending out that recent zoning survey. That survey gave me hope that our city can avoid the pitfalls that most up-and-coming cities in this country have been making. That hope is what brought me here today. I would like to ask the City Council members to consider a return to more traditional, high-density city planning. With our current housing crisis, we should focus on proven solutions. According to California's Legislative Analyst's Office, high-density development makes housing more affordable. Also, an affordable housing report by the California Department of Housing and Community Development also states that compact development makes public services and infrastructure more efficient. By building more apartments, triplexes, and mixed zoning infrastructure, we can drastically increase the supply of affordable homes along with making Turlock more walkable. Currently, most of our city is not made for people. It is made for cars to drive or park. Our beloved downtown on Main Street would feel very different if there were an ocean of parking spots between each business like we have on Countryside Drive. If the hundreds of parking spaces were instead zoned for mixed development, we could increase the supply of homes and receive more tax revenue from new businesses. Also, by making our homes so far away from everywhere we need to go, we burden our citizens with the increasing expenses of car ownership and road repairs. By incorporating more mixed zoning, we can help alleviate car dependency and increase tax revenue for our city. Housing in Turlock, like in many other cities and states, has gone from places for residents to call home to properties for investors to make money. I believe that housing in a city should be first and foremost accessible to those that live in said city, as most of us are not looking for an investment, we are looking for a place to live. Young people entering their 20s and 30s, when they should be starting careers and families, have been forced to give up the idea of home ownership. And future generations are not offered hope that this outlook will improve. If we started to build our cities like this country used to many years ago, with mixed zonings, lower parking lot requirements, and many more multi-family units such as triplexes and apartments, we can not only bring us closer to the goal of our citizens owning homes, but we can bring us all closer together as a community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Jay?
Hi, good evening. I won't take all 3 minutes, I promise. I'm just here with an invitation. I am the club advisor for a club at Turlock High School called Spilling Ink. We are the poetry club. And this will be our second year in a row having an outdoor event in Crane Park, right across the street from the school. And last year, we had the current California Poet Laureate, Lee Herrick, as our special guest to a crowd of tens. And that was despite my attempting to reach out through social media to all of the local media outlets and into Modesto and all sorts of places. So I figured I'd come here first this time and get it to you guys. And where's the gentleman that was doing all the social media stuff? That's who I need to talk to. That's who I need to talk to. I'm a spoken word artist, so I'm used to doing things in under 3 minutes. That's what we do in Poetry Slam. So this is not difficult for me. But I just want to say that I believe in the power of the arts, and I believe that our students will benefit more. This year we're expanding. That's why it's called Arts in the Park this year and not Poetry in the Park, because we are also inviting out musical groups from our school. We have also invited out our art club, the mural club, who just finished their multicultural mural for the school that they're unveiling this week. They'll have that out as well as some displays from our photography club, and hopefully some of the other music groups. Our mariachi band is new and up and coming, and we're excited about hopefully having them out there as well. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you. Justin?
All right. Good evening, Turlock City Council and members of the Turlock community. Justin Farkas representing the office of Assemblyman Juan Alanis. First and foremost, we just want to thank the city for your collaboration with us, allowing us to be accessible to our constituents, holding our mobile district office hours right across the hall in the El Capitan room. That is a huge help to us and a huge help to our constituents who don't have other means to access our office, whether it be by phone, by internet, or by coming to our office downtown Modesto. So we really want to thank you for that. Just want to give a brief update on some of the victories that we've seen up in Sacramento. As we've mentioned before, we've introduced 26 bills this year covering a myriad of issues, but we're really seeing a lot of success in the realm of education. Two bills passed last week with unanimous approval from the Assembly Education Committee. Those bills being Assembly Bill 1796, which would expand on parental notification for career technical education courses provided on campuses, and the second bill being Assembly Bill 1871, which adopts a course of study in the area of personal financial literacy for students grades 7 to 12. So that's two of the 5 bills that we've had passed through their respective committees this year. We hope to see those all the way through to the governor's desk, as well as the other bills that we still have pending. So thank you.
Thank you. Milt?
Good evening, council, staff, and citizens. Milt Treeweiler. All people are imperfect. We all make mistakes, and we all do stupid things at some time or another. However, not all people are corrupt or dishonest, and not all people are unethical. Today, there are many politicians and people who are corrupt. These people worship money, power, and pleasure. Education and science has given us an opportunity to learn facts and reality about knowing who we are and what we are. However, in my lifetime, I've found many people who have never matured or grown up. They're still like little children who believe in Santa Claus or act like they did when they were in junior high school. I know that as an individual, I have chosen to be honest, trustworthy, and ethical. It's a choice you make. Yet I realize I've made many mistakes in my life. However, I have never accepted a bribe, I've never committed a fraud, and I've never taken something that I did not earn. Every person can change themselves unless they have an illness that prevents them from doing so. We each have a brain that allows us to educate ourselves about facts and reality, about who we are and what we need to do to make things better for ourselves and others. Let's all use our brains and realize that we are all human beings, whether we are rich or poor, that being honest, trustworthy, and ethical must always be a goal that we all strive for. It's so important that we do that, and it is possible. Everyone can be honest, everyone can be truthful, everyone can be ethical. You just have to try hard at it. I made that decision when I was very young, that that's what I was going to be, and that's what I am. And I'm proud of that. And I'd like to see everyone that way that's a politician in Turlock. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Mayor, council, staff, Gillis Gare here, Turlock. First of all, had a comment after and I should have spoken then. I want to appreciate your presentation, because I was here a couple meetings back talking about traffic and the traffic issues we had in Turlock. And I don't see them getting any better, but I'm glad that somebody's out there trying to do something. And you're absolutely right. It's up to the people out there to help, because for some reason, everybody has forgotten common sense. They're getting crazier and crazier out in the roads. So, yeah, whatever we can do, let's do it. What I came here tonight was to talk about ADUs. I've been getting a lot of questions and stuff about ADUs lately, and I'm referring them to the city as it call planning over here and talk to them. Is there a way? Here's my question to the city. Is there a way that we can offer some kind of a workshop or something strictly on ADU requirements to make it easier, streamline the process? I'm not saying cut corners, definitely not, but is there a way to streamline the process so that more people out there can understand the process and figure out if and how, and if they can do it, if they can afford to do it, and if there's a way to streamline the process to encourage people to put these ADUs. I mean, we keep getting the pressure from the state saying, hey, you need more homes, you need this and that, and everybody knows that's a biggie. There's all kinds of headaches trying to come up with developments and all that stuff. So anyway, that's my deal. Can we help the city of Turlock residents that are interested? And maybe they don't even know they're interested, but if we give them a workshop or give them some kind of presentation to where they can understand the process, maybe that'll help. Thank you.
Again, Mary Jackson, I will fill out the card once I'm finished because I don't want to forget. I second what he's saying. Portland, Oregon I think they give a loan, a no income or low income loan to people to do the additional dwelling or to do a granny apartment because they're trying to get more, they're just growing exponentially. So I think a workshop would be a great idea. A lot of people talk about doing it, but they actually, to give them some type of incentive or give them the plan on how easy or it could be is a good idea. Chief Hedden, I'm sorry, I forgot to ask. I know we have a street team. Is that true? Like a traffic team? There's the 3 motorcycle officers again. Because it seems like things are cyclical. Like we seemed like, I don't know, a year or two ago, it seemed like we had graffiti increased or there was gang graffiti being increased around town. If you go to Modesto or you go south to Merced, it's everywhere. It seems like again. And when Chief Hampton, who's now at Development Services, when he came, it was sort of something, speed was a focus of our PD. And then I'm wondering too, when you're looking at the budget cycle, we talked about with Measure A that there would be, I believe from when I've talked to former council members at that time, that there would be an officer dedicated to downtown. And I know every business person that I've talked to or gone into their store would support having a dedicated officer, I'm sure with a dedicated cell phone that they could call if there was an issue. And I'm going to ask you again I think looking at closing the navigation center was a huge mistake. You had the money, you gave it 6 months, you had people using it, and now those 30 people have nowhere to go to the bathroom, and where are they going to hang out? They're going to hang around downtown. So I implore you to look at that again. You still have the money. You have all this Measure A money. And I think that money, we're not talking about dollars, we're talking about human beings. I remember a professor that we attend church with said that these are human beings. And so I really think it wasn't broke, it didn't need to be fixed, and it should have been left alone, and bring it back. Thank you. And I'll write my things on the card.
Anybody else? Okay, we'll close the public comment. Just for ADU's sake, I know that Mr. Hampton and his team are working on some snap outs that everybody will be able to see what exactly it requires, and he's been talking about this since the day he got back here for his job. Moving on, we have okay, we'll try that again. Motion waiving reading of all ordinances on the agenda except by title.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Abram?
Yes.
Councilmember Bixel?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Franco?
Yes.
Mayor Bublak?
Yes, passed 4-0. Consent calendar, are there any items to be considered separate? Okay, if not, is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
Motion, second, and a second. Pretty much the roll call then, right? Go ahead.
Councilmember Abram?
Yes.
Councilmember Bixel?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Franco?
Yes.
Mayor Bublak?
Yes. That passes with the 4-0. Final readings, there are none. Public hearings, we have one. And Ms. Warner?
I need to recuse myself at this point.
All right, you gonna hang up and want us to text you or something?
I believe that the city clerk has that
Okay.
all wired.
Got it, thank you.
And members of the public. The item tonight before you is the plan development for 281 at vesting tentative subdivision map 2202 and a rezone. The property is, there's actually kind of two parts to this project. There's a residential portion that's 2.7 acres to be subdivided into 16 single-family lots. There's also a commercial component that on 3.12 acres to divide 2 existing parcels into 4 lots and a remainder. The remainder acts as another lot, so it's actually 5 lots, but for engineering purposes and things like that, it's called a remainder, but it's just an additional lot. The proposed project, they're requesting a rezone from the commercial and residential zoning district to allow for some deviation on lot sizes, setbacks, and lot dimensions on the residential portion of the project, as well as some setbacks on the commercial portion. The property is right at the intersection of Roberts Road and Golden State. And if you know, there's 2 commercial buildings there now, as well as, I believe, an auto body shop. So with the parceling of the commercial lots, it will put those existing buildings on individual lots now. So one of the requests for the commercial is to allow deviation from the setbacks for that zoning district in order to have those lots be on those buildings on those separate lots. The residential portion is also asking for some deviation on lot sizes and setbacks and lot dimensions. As detailed in my staff report, which is kind of lengthy, could be confusing. The subdivision, this is just a project site. These are the 2 commercial buildings I was talking about. But the subdivision of the property, the residential portion of the property, was actually subdivided in 2005. The subdivision map went through the planning division, or planning commission was approved, as well as the plan development for that. It's the exact same design tonight as it was in 2005. What happened in the course of time was the developer, Imperial Enterprises, processed a parcel map that took these 16 lots back to 1 parcel over time. And if you remember, in 2005, shortly after the market took a dip, so there was a lot of things that were going on then. So he reverted those 16 lots back to 1 parcel. Now he's come back, he wants to do the exact same thing, but because it was 1 parcel, now with the parcel map, now he has to do a subdivision map to do those 16 lots. There's nothing different as far as what he requested in 2005 from today, other than the fact that we had 1 lot and now he wants to do 16. So there's really no difference from what was approved by the Planning Commission and the City Council in 2005 and what he's requesting tonight. There are some deviations that he's requesting as far as setbacks from the lots. And as you can see on the right-hand side of the page, and I got to apologize for the smallness, but that just kind of, we've asked for a lot fit, and this is how he's told us the setbacks that he's requesting. So typically in our residential zoning districts, they would have 5-foot side yard setbacks. For the most part, he's asking for, on all the lots, of 4-foot side yard setbacks, so on each side. Which the lots are smaller, so he's able to identify the houses that would fit on that lot, and that's why he's asking for the deviation for those lot sizes. As I said before, this is nothing different than what we saw, what was that, 10, 15 years ago? The difference, here's the commercial portion, is just south of that. This is just kind of shows you how the lots would be divided up into those 5 lots. There's a commercial portion on the corner of Roberts Road and Golden State. There is, you can see where the parking is as we head south, going back toward, going down Golden State, where you see some parking lot. He does have a potential a commercial building that he's proposing on that lot. That's potentially parcel 2. There is a TID easement that is on that south property line, so he's requesting to have a deviation on that setback because of that easement. If we were to enforce those standards of a 20-foot setback, he wouldn't really be able to develop this lot because he wouldn't be able to fit the parking on. he wouldn't be able to fit the building on. So in order to allow him to develop parcel 2, he's asking for a deviation on the setbacks on the commercial lot. The other 2 lots, the other 3 lots have the existing commercial buildings, so dividing those into the separate parcels also would make them not consistent with the setbacks for that zoning district. So that's the request for that. So this is how the, both the commercial portion of the property and the subdivision would look, as far as the subdivision map and the parcel map. A parcel map is, because it's less than 5 lots, is actually processed through our engineering department. The subdivision map is processed through our planning commission and the planning department. Those have already been approved, contingent on the city council authorizing the rezone and the plan development. So, as I said before, the residential property doesn't look any different than what we saw in 2005. The commercial portion, just slightly different. It was 2 properties, and now they're wanting to parcel that into 5. This is just a conceptual idea of the commercial buildings that he's proposing on that commercial lot. I believe he does have the intent to build on parcel 2, something that's going to be very similar to this. Does meet the architecture and the design guidelines in that zoning district and the master plan that's in that area. So staff is looking for approval, and as the planning commission did work through it, and they unanimously supported the project as well. So, if you have any questions?
Questions, please?
There was also some traffic considerations that were going to be affected, correct?
Correct. There were not necessarily traffic conditions, right. Our general plan doesn't allow expressway or driveways off of expressways. Golden State is considered an expressway. So when we first saw, a couple years ago, when we first saw the driveway coming through, we reached out and said, hey, because of the general plan, we would not be able to allow you to have that there. So over time, there were some extenuating circumstances that got delayed. They did submit a memorandum that's in your packet from their engineer saying, hey, yes, this still works. Our city engineer and we worked through it with them, still expressing our concerns, but with the developer, city engineer, and staff, we came to an agreement that having a decel lane coming into that area, into that driveway, would suffice. So Pure Enterprises was agreeable to that, and it satisfied the city engineer's concerns as well. So.
And just one question about the 2, what would be 2 undeveloped commercial lots. Do they maintain the heavy commercial underlying designation? Because I ask because in the traffic memorandum, it talks about having like a retail and a fast food with drive-through. Is that, for example, or what?
Yes. So the existing lots where the 2 existing commercial buildings are in the auto body shop, those are already developed. The one that's right in the little triangle at the corner does have to maintain the standards for the heavy commercial. It is not part of the deviation, the setbacks for the PD, so it will have to develop to that.
But in terms of like what types of businesses can go there, it's under the heavy commercial.
It's under the heavy
zoning.
commercial, yes.
Any questions?
Is there anybody that is opposed to this as far as community or neighbors?
We did have one neighbor that reached out to us during the planning commission process that expressed concern of the existing traffic, which is something that's typical. But we were able to explain to them that, yes, there would be this decel lane going into the project that should help alleviate some of the traffic that they're seeing now. But there's not much. This project is not going to affect the traffic and the problems that are happening now.
Mr. Pirro, did you want to speak, sir?
Good evening, Mayor, council members, and staff. Thank you, Adrian, for the lovely presentation. She really covered a lot of it. My name is Matthew Rogers. I am the project manager for Benchmark Engineering, located at 4265 Spires Way, Suite A, Modesto, California, 95356. I'm going to answer some, expand a little bit of your questions. Yes, we are going to keep the heavy commercial, and we are going to have the buildings follow that existing zoning. As Adrian stated before, the residential component is staying the same, so there's nothing new, no curveballs are thrown in. And we've worked with her and her staff to select the houses and make sure that they meet planning standards. As far as traffic concerns are, we have subcontracted with Fair and Piers, a traffic consultant, and they did a thorough analysis of Golden State Boulevard to make sure that everything is copacetic. There's no issues with this deceleration lane at the request of the city, and I think everything ended up fine and perfectly good. Is there any other questions I could answer regarding this project?
Other questions? No?
Okay. I believe Piro Enterprises would still like to talk about it. Thank you.
He had his chance.
Mayor, council members, I'm Lauren Piro. I'm here with Ramson Piro Construction. I'm here to answer any questions you may have. I did want to talk a little bit about the project, just a little more in depth. It is an infill project, so it has a residential and a commercial development side. We are doing one single-story plan and 3 two-story plans. They are ranging between 1,600 square feet and 2,370 square feet. They will be mostly 2-car garages, with the exception of a couple that will be 3-car garages. And we are going for a modern earth tone color palette.
Questions for her? Thank you.
Thank you.
Only a man has that, right? It's salmon. Now we'll open it to the public. Anyone wishes to speak? Nope.
Thank you for the presentation. This is a wonderful project. It's well planned, and it's something we need here. We need a more affordable housing, and basically this will fill the middle portion of this, not the lower portion, but the middle portion of the low-income housing that we need. For the low-income housing, we're going to have high-rise apartments and high-rise condominiums, something we have plenty of land for in our city of Turlock. And that's what we want to do. We want affordable housing like other people have already mentioned tonight. It's a necessity here in Turlock. We want to grow up and not out because we are surrounded by the best farmland in the world. We have young soils. You go just 20 miles to the east, 20 miles to the west, and you have million-year-old soils. Right here in the center, we have soils that are in just the thousands of years old. They have the depth, we have the water, and we have the climate to grow 230 crops. Right now, we're mostly concentrated on almonds. But anyway, this housing project will also help because it's building on infill. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, we'll close the public comment, bring it back. Infill.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion.
Second.
Second. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Abram?
Yes.
Councilmember Bixel?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Franco?
Nope.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Mayor Bublak?
Yes, so it's a 3 with 1 abstaining or recusing. So that was for both, correct? Your motion was for both, thank you. Okay. And yours, second was for that as well?
Yes.
Okay, just make sure, clarification. All right, it passed, and it will be on the next agenda on, when is it? April 9th, that sounds good. All right, thank you so much. Mr. Moreno, do you want to talk about Measure A now?
Let's get one with touchscreen too, so we can move it.
Start all over. Oh, now you want touchscreen.
We're gonna do it,
Commodore's.
let's do it.
Beep, beep, beep.
Thank
Please
you,
take
Mayor,
it to-
council members. Tonight's item is to talk about Measure A. Measure A has a requirement per the ordinance and the Oversight Committee to present an annual accountability report. This report does come from the committee and is reviewed. Just to take a little step back before we get into the report, again, some of the requirements of Measure A is whether we're required to meet with the committee and oversight board does have to be developed, and we do go meet quarterly and go over a financial report, similar to what you're going to see here today. But our primary objective is really to actually bring this report back to council to get it approved too as well. Traditionally, I would bring a board member with me today. The chair was going to be here today, but unfortunately he had a baby. So, so I think sleeps a little better than coming to council, right? So I am happy for him, obviously, but and jokingly, yes, he was just unable to attend tonight. So we'll go through the report in itself and kind of give you a general overview of what you're looking at. So as you can see from the header page, there's two sections of it. You're going to see one format in which you're talking about Measure A roads and one format in which you're talking about the general Measure A. This report is broken up into categories to make it a little more easier overall to read and kind of go through the information from a budget and actual perspective. Okay? Traditionally, like most of my reports that I bring to council, this information is nice, but you really need to be able to support that. And that's why we bring in the financial information. These reports are directly out of the accounting system to give a true overview of where these numbers are coming from and how they go through. Okay? So that is the first piece of it. The second piece, again, is going through the same reporting for the general side. Looking at budget to actual, kind of consolidate them a little bit into groups so that you're not getting a ton of detail, but you're actually given a nice, clean overall report with the details to follow. So again, the committee has overseen this, has reviewed this report. They have unanimously approved the report for it to come to council for review and approval too as well. If there's any questions regarding this matter or the oversight board, I'll be happy to answer them.
Questions for Director?
I guess, is there anything you can share from, you said it's unanimously approved, but is there some discussion and clarification? What are they talking about that we might want to know?
So a lot of the information they talk about is really just getting the information out there. And I think that kind of goes back to the communication plan that we talked about earlier. We're starting to see posts come out now. We're trying to change the website, making sure the information is clean and get that information as far as what it looks like, what is actually happening out there. Not just from a dollar perspective, but more from an activity perspective, right? What equipment is PD buying or fire buying that's being allocated through this process? How many employees is actually going in that? So coming out of those committee meetings where you see my report changing. And just, again, for the public perspective, go to the website. The information is there. The reports have to be adopted. This report is there too as well. A lot of the questions that come up in these meetings can really be answered by coming to those meetings or actually calling me or discussing these reports. So it's really getting to a little more meat and getting that information out there and how we display it. Again, it's not just about money. It's about what are we doing with those dollars and how are we making it better for the public.
Any other question? All right, we'll open it to the public.
Yes, as the co-chair of the Citizens Committee that helped pass this, I'm very proud of the fact that we passed this, and I see that it brought in this year $15 million. There was people on the council at that time that were skeptical of this, but I knew that this was the right thing. I knew that our fire department needed this. I knew that our police department needed this, and I fought very hard for this. I very much got into it, spent my own personal money to make the flyers or to print the flyers with my co-chair and to get the vote yes on Measure A signs distributed throughout Turlock. We had 200 of them printed, and it worked out really good. Remember now, the focus was police, fire, and roads. I know at this point I think it's divided up into roads. I hope that the police department and the fire department are getting what they need from this, because that was one of the main emphasis of this. I even went to the farmers market in downtown Turlock. I did a personal survey to see what people thought about this, and they were all for it. But there was one person on the council at that time that was against it. But anyway, everyone else was for it. It did pass by an overwhelming majority. And the important thing now is that we have it and it's being monitored like they said it was going to be. It's been excellent. You know, it's $15 million this year. Who knows how much more? If we didn't have this, if we were just working with our general fund money and our enterprise money, this city would be bankrupt by now. And that was my whole point back then. If we don't get this, we're going to bankrupt the city. That's how important it was. And other cities are having issues now. We've surpassed that because we have this. And that's the good thing about it. And that's why I worked so hard on it. I realized that at the time. And we've got to, you know, support it like we are and make sure that the money goes where it's supposed to go. Occasionally I do have questions about how the money's being spent and how it's being divvied up, but I'm sure that our staff will take care of that. So anyway, it's very good that we have this, and it's wonderful. Thank you.
Anybody else?
I'm Mary Jackson again. I'd like to echo what Mr. Treeweiler said about Measure A. I think many people got behind it to support exactly what he talked about, police and fire, to be fully staffed, as well as to help fix our roads. And so when the decision was made to use it for pension money, that just doesn't bode well with people, because that's not what I know that Mr. Treeweiler and Terry Shaver and everybody else who put up signs and did a video, because it's not easy to pass a tax increase in Turlock. And so it's very frustrating when you guys sit up there, some of you didn't support it, but yet you're gonna put it for pension relief. And that's not what that money is supposed to be used for. So again, it's extremely frustrating. And I couldn't stay at that meeting, it had already passed. I came in late, but once I sort of sat back and listened and figured out that it was going to be for pension relief. That's not what the voters passed. And when you do things like that, this is why people get very frustrated with their local government and their local government elected officials, because it was earmarked for a certain areas of government that they wanted to see fixed, and it's when you put it for pension relief, that's not where it's supposed to go. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, we'll close public comment, bring it back. Thank you, Milt, for doing that, getting it on the agenda, on getting it a ballot. You did a great job. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Abram?
Yes.
Councilmember Bixel?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Franco?
Yes.
Mayor Bublak?
Yes, and it passes with a 4-0. Thank you, Director. And now, Mr. York.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Before you this evening is a proposed agreement between the city and Store Transit Systems for a new transit operations and management agreement that would take effect on July 1st of this year. The proposed action is a result of an RFP that was released by the city last December. And in that RFP, the city sought to maintain core transit services, as well as making some enhancements and some improvements, which I'm going to highlight a couple of those. The first one is going to be establishing higher wages and benefit requirements. This would be for the contractor on their staff, which not only addresses a nationwide driver shortage issue that's occurring by helping with recruitment and retention, but this also helps stabilize price proposals during the solicitation process, and we did identify that in this process, so it worked. The second thing is it requires additional staffing over the current staffing in the contract. So, for example, a full-time safety officer, a couple of road supervisors, which we currently have 0 road supervisors on this contract. So that's going to help with addressing issues that come up and allow us to be more responsive to those issues. As well as some additional drivers to ensure we're positioned to meet the needs of our growing system and our growing ridership, which continues to grow. Every year, we're just amazed at the growth that continues to occur. The third thing is additional training requirements, including first aid, CPR, AED, and the administration of Narcan, as well as some additional reporting requirements, including a monthly safety audit of all transit operations. So in addition to our normal safety procedures, this is above and beyond those. Since the resulting agreement will utilize federal funds, the procurement was conducted both in accordance with federal and local procurement requirements. The city received a total of 5 proposals from qualified organizations, and we conducted interviews with leaders from each one, here in this room actually. Proposals were scored based on criteria previously established in the RFP. One of those criteria was pricing, and the committee identified 2 outliers and 3 that were within the competitive range, with Store being one of those within the competitive range. The information in detail is listed in the staff report. After a thorough review and discussion, the committee collectively awarded the highest number of points to Store Transit Systems and recommended them for award of a new agreement. As our incumbent provider, Store has demonstrated a track record for their emphasis on safety, customer service, and excellence, as well as their willingness to work with the city as a true partner. If approved by the council this evening, city staff will work with Store over the next few months on a transition plan to ensure that all of the new contract requirements are in place by July 1st when they start service under the new agreement. All costs associated with the new contract will be paid through a combination of state and federal grant funds, supplemented by passenger fares and advertising revenue. So we do have Store CEO Donald Store here this evening, and so if the council has any questions, either for Mr. Store or myself, we'd be happy to answer them.
Questions for Mr. Store? Did you want to speak? Sure. You came from another state, didn't you? Yes. Colder weather?
Mayor, council members, Donald Store, President, CEO, Store Transportation, Modesto, California. Company is based there. We're very close. We have a rich history in transportation, special needs, elderly. We've expanded all over the state of California providing these types of services. In 2017, we finally got the word to operate Turlock. It was a battle. We worked on this one for a long time, and it's been really an honor because we feel like that this is Turlock is a quality city. They want quality operations, they want quality contractors, and this RFP that was put out was probably the best one I've seen because it addressed the employees, it addressed all the core things, safety, all the things that we value, and it put all the contractors on the same level. So we're not coming in and cutting wages here, cutting wages there, cutting staff, we all know what we had to bid on. So that's why you got 5 good bids. And we've got amazing staff here. We got 31 drivers. Beautiful. Our staff is very experienced, and we're just really happy to be a partnership of Turlock. And most of you I've known for a long time. I think it was 1981, Reagan, the first contract that I got.
Oh my goodness.
That was a long time ago, but we've been around a long time, and we're responsive. When the fair comes around, because we have such a large resources in Stanislaus County, we pull drivers, we pull staff, we pull management, we pull a team together, and we put together a thriving project with staff at Turlock to make the fair very successful. And it's very unusual for you to see growth continue to rise, especially after the pandemic. So once again, this is a gem in the rough, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Questions for Mr. Store? Vice Mayor, a question?
No comment. Questions.
We'll get to that. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Store. Anybody wish to speak in public about this? Okay, we'll close public comment. Vice Mayor, since you're on your comments, go ahead.
Thank you. Store has done a great job for us. And one who's on the StanCog committee, Turlock Transit is by far a great organization. We have to thank Mr. York for his expertise in this. He's done a great job for us. It just keeps getting better and better. And quite frankly, and I'm a little bit, biased, but I think we are much better than Stan RTA. That's the end of my comments. Thank you.
Was that a motion?
Sure, a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Abram?
Yes.
Councilmember Brixel?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Franco?
Yes.
Mayor Bublak.
Yes, it passes with a 4-0. Thank you for being here. And thank you, Mr. York. Under updates, Mr. Wilson, anything? It's all written.
Pretty much, just one comment.
Go ahead and push that button, sir.
Okay. We do have a new housing program manager.
Okay.
Her name is Jennifer Figueroa.
Welcome,
Okay, so
Jennifer
welcome,
Figueroa.
Jennifer.
Thank you. Council items for future consideration.
I'm not sure if this counts as a future consideration item or just a comment, but I was pleasantly surprised to see that orange comment sheet. So thank you to whomever, I'm thinking Julie down there is to thank for that. But I would like to see if we can expand that to a digital platform too. Obviously, we have emails, staff has emails, but we are live broadcasting this, and if there could be a link to a comment page to, allow people who can't make it here for any number of reasons to be able to have those same opportunities, I would appreciate that.
Items for future consideration. Vice Mayor, anything for future consideration?
Not tonight.
Okay. I do have one. Today was Mr. Fagan's last day. And so he did submit uses for CDBG. Within that, he discussed having us fix up South First and then make it an entrepreneurial center and use the funding. So I would like to have somebody work on that, maybe those two together over there. But I think it's a great idea and actually helps the property as well. So, council comments, anything? Vice
I
Mayor?
have a couple.
Go ahead.
First of all, thank you and congratulations to the fire department members who got their awards this week and the newly graduated recruits. Welcome aboard and thank you for choosing City of Turlock. Congratulations to the award winners. And then happy Easter to everyone. He has risen indeed.
All right, I have a few thank you to the committee for Measure A. Thank you to Congressman Duarte for his 2 checks yesterday. Mr. Fisher's already spent them, I believe. And then I get, from time to time, I get anonymous correspondence, and some people are saying that we should be spending our salary that we get to fix the roads. So if, we took our $500 each, I don't think I'd help a pothole, but I don't think people understand that we really don't actually make any money and we don't actually get any benefits. And so it's kind of, it's interesting that you hear these things. As well, they were asking about Gear Road. I hear about Pages Road. They're getting posted. You can go online and see what's going on with these. It's going to take a while, and yes, there will be potholes, but we're doing a lot of roads in a short period of time. And now we have closed session.
For closed session tonight, we have a conference with legal counsel, initiation of litigation, California Government Code, section 54956.9, subsection D, subsection 4. B, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, California Government Code 54956.9, subsection D, subsection 2, potential cases 3. C, conference with labor negotiations, California Government Codes, section 54957.6, subsection A, agency designated representative, Deputy City Manager Sarah Eddy, employee organization, Turlock Associated Police Officers, Turlock City Employee Association, Turlock Firefighters Association, Local 2434, Turlock Management Association Public Safety, and the unrepresented groups of Turlock Management and confidential employees.
All right, and we will report out should there be something. Thank you. Oh. We good? All right, I need two more people real quick.
It won't happen again.
Are they coming?
No,
Okay.
where they are, here they come. Sarah school something.
Okay, no worries. All right, we are back and we have nothing to report out, so happy Easter and we're adjourned.